Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your podcast host here at Action Coach in Central Texas. Today on the show, I have Eva Hart, co-owner of Couples Coffee, as my guest on the show. Today, we're going to be talking about her journey to business ownership, best practices, and challenges she's faced along the way to give you a sneak peek to what it's really like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this one. So, hi, Eva. It's nice to have you on the show. I'd love to hear a little bit about you as well as the business.
Hi, Kay. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited. So I am the owner of Couples Coffee, co-owner. I own it with my husband, but we also own a few other Amazon brands. I got into this space initially by working at an Amazon brand management agency that I worked at for about 3 years. So I helped over 100 brands grow and launch products on Amazon. And then I started working at a Amazon software company called Jungle Scout, which I'm currently at as well. And we provide software to Amazon sellers. So I've seen it from Amazon industry from kind of every angle. And I was always nervous to launch my own products, launch my own brand, because what if I fail and I'm supposed to be an expert in this industry and failing would not look good for me. But in July 2023, my husband and I finally decided to just do it and see what happens. And now at this point, we have a few different brands: Couples Coffee, Fantaswick, which is candles, Faithwick, which is Bible verse candles, and now a brand called Fox and Pharaoh. And our first product is teeth whitening strips, which is kind of random, but yeah.
That is super cool. I'm actually really excited to dive into this because just hearing about the Amazon platform and what you can build with that. So I love that you shared that story. So what does like a typical day-to-day look like for you as you're working in your Amazon brands? And like are you working mostly in the business, on the business, a little bit of both?
Yeah, so I take the creative side of the business, so designing products, and then after the product design, um, taking that and putting it on Amazon. So the creative that goes with that, the images, videos, title, bullet points, just the overall Amazon optimization and making ad assets and stuff like that. My husband works more with the suppliers, so contacting our suppliers and keeping the supply chain moving. So yeah, but the thing that I love the most is product design and launching those products. So that's what I'm working on a lot right now, as well as kind of going through just a major rebrand for Couples Coffee.
Ooh, that sounds really like invigorating. It sounds like so many moving parts, which is super fun. And so who would you say, focusing on, the couples coffee, does your business primarily serve? I mean, I hear couples in the name, but I'd love to dive into that more.
Yeah, so I mean, everybody drinks coffee, so our target audience is pretty big. But I would say more so people who are in relationships, that's kind of who we're targeting. Our products are kind of girly. As you can see behind me, there's like a pink box. Here's a pink bag, and I make them a little bit girly. So I'm assuming more so on the female side, but also we are a veteran-owned business. I'm from a veteran family. My husband's a veteran from a veteran family. And so we donate to a charity. And through that, we've attracted a lot of military couples, specifically military spouses. So,
Oh, that's very cool. Um, and so kind of like diving into, coffee as an industry too, how do your competitors compare with you?
um, there are a lot of competitors, obviously, for coffee. But we don't look at the big brands out there like Starbucks and Pete's. We don't look at that as a competitor. We're not trying to be them. I would say that the brands that we I would say aspire to be more like, I don't know if you've heard of Bones Coffee, Black Rifle Coffee. Those are brands that started, just small business, owned by families, and then just grew exponentially. I would say right now, it's hard to say exactly who a direct competitor would be because we are pretty small. So we have a couple hundred people per month on Subscribe and Save, and then we get other sales outside of that. But we're, obviously the aspiration is to be making 30,000 plus in sales per month. And right now we're sitting around sometimes like 10,000 a month in coffee sales.
Okay. Um, that's really intriguing. I like to hear kind of like how you're starting up, how you're moving the business forward. And so I like to ask the question, what is one thing you wish people knew more about your business?
Hmm, that's a good question. I think, part of it is just knowing more about my husband and I, because what we've really learned with small businesses is people care about the owners and they want to know who they're getting their products from. So typically, if you are the person who's searching for coffee outside of those, Starbucks and Pete's, you kind of want to feel like a sense that you know the owners. And I think that's one thing that we don't do as good of a job about is talking about that. So I think just kind of getting to know us and our process more and us as just, as a couple and as a family, I think would help. And that's something that I advise all of the Amazon brands that I work with. I've advised them that for, 7 years now. So it's like, I know all of these things, but it's easier said than done. So I can advise a brand, but actually implementing that, I see now from the brand perspective, how difficult that is.
That actually brings me perfectly into my next topic, which is kind of going into that marketing and like marketing pursuits, like sharing your story out there. So I'm always curious to what brands are doing to like implement and seeing what's working for them, what's not working for them, and kind of sharing that real life experience as you're building your business. And so, what are you currently doing for your marketing pursuits and to grow your business?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, we focus a lot on social media. And then obviously we have, the Amazon storefronts and the Amazon listings and doing advertising and kind of pushing marketing traffic to our Amazon pages. We had a social media manager and we've gone through different strategies for social media. And as you know, like it's not as easy as it sounds to go viral or to get traction. And although we've built up a following, I think that where the direction we were going with our social media was a lot more aesthetic. And we've realized that's not what people like anymore. So people like just someone holding a camera, talking to it, and just they like to have a personality and someone to attach to these brands and these companies. And so what we realized is we just weren't getting very much engagement on these super aesthetic, like us making, different recipes and things like that. And then when we'd use people in our reels, it would be like on fire. And so that's why we're kind of switching direction and trying to just be a little bit more real with our brand.
Oh, I dig that a lot. It kind of really dives into that brand storytelling, which you're kind of like seems like you're growing into doing more of, which is super
Yeah.
cool. And kind of like looking at organizing your customers, organizing um, the people you work with. Do you use a CRM or does Amazon provide anything like that? Or what's kind of like the back end look like for you?
So that is the unfortunate part of working with or having an Amazon store is Amazon owns the customer. So we actually don't get data on our customers. So that is the downfall, and that is primarily where we're selling right now. We are working on launching a website for both Fantaswick and Couples Coffee because we are realizing that it's really difficult because we don't have anybody we can send newsletters to, or we can't reach out directly to the customers and give them updates when new products launch and things like that. So we're kind of solely relying on our Instagram audience that we've built up for those people to kind of know when we have products upcoming. But as far as marketing on Amazon, it is very limited because they don't want you to own the customer and they don't want you driving people off of Amazon to
Mhm.
say your social media page where people can find updates on new products and things like that.
Oh, definitely. Well, thank you for sharing the insight on that. That's like really insightful to know. And, kind of diving into the next part of our questions, we've been focused on a little bit of the marketing, but I'd love to share about you and your story. So, why did you decide to go into business for yourself as opposed to working for somebody else? And what was that transition like for you?
Yeah, so this one isn't the first time I've owned a business. I started a sales and kind of marketing business over a decade ago. And I did that to get out of the office. I was had just issues working with in offices, just like as a female in the workplace. Honestly, there were just a lot of things that went on that, like, I'd call my mom crying in the parking lot and she'd be like, oh, you've got to like figure out how you can get out of this situation. So I started my own company, and from there I went remote back before it was kind of the cool thing to do. And I traveled the world while owning my own company. And then I started to get into, copywriting for Amazon brands and for that Amazon agency I mentioned. And I realized, like, I love the e-commerce industry, and I didn't plan to be in that industry at all. So I ended up stepping away from my business and just working on Amazon stuff full time. And then the motivation to start my own brand, like, it was something that was constant on my mind, kind of as I mentioned before. But then I had this like true fear of failure because I had kind of labeled myself as this industry expert, and I'm coaching brands on how to launch products and how to grow their Amazon business. And yeah, it was just this like, if I fail, then no one's going to listen to me anymore.
Mhm.
And it just, we kind of just got to the point, my husband and I, where we're like, we really want to do our own thing and be able to step away from the 9 to 5 job at some point in our lives. And if we don't start now, we're not going to be able to do that. Because something that I advise all of the like brand owners and Amazon sellers that I work with is like, don't quit your day job, because things can go south really quickly. Amazon can be very volatile. And
Mhm.
so I really think you have to build up your reoccurring revenue for quite some time. I say at least 2 years.
Mhm.
So anyways, it was kind of like, let's just do it so that in maybe a decade from now, we're able to quit our jobs. So.
Oh, I like the forward thinking on that. That's really insightful. And kind of like looking back at your journey so far, you've shared a little glimpse of like some of the things you've been through. What has been like a memorable roadblock or specific like roadblock or hurdle that you've went through that you overcame?
Um, well, one of them would be an issue we've had with Amazon destroying our packaging. So, you pay Amazon basically to store your packaging or your products and then to ship them. And you kind of put that trust in their hands and obviously that money in their wallets. And then what we were receiving pictures and videos on our Instagram of boxes just coming like so destroyed. Actually, I ordered one to test it out and I like almost cried receiving it because I work so hard on making our packaging beautiful, and there was just stickers slapped all over the box. They didn't put, so actually I have one sitting here, but this is a pretty big box. They didn't, but it's like flimsy. They
Yeah.
didn't put this inside of a poly bag, anything else. It came so beat up that you couldn't read the text. There were stickers all over it. It was like, why are we paying Amazon to to help with this part of the supply chain when they're failing at it miserably? So
Mhm.
and I guess you said one that we've overcome. That's one that we're constantly battling Amazon for. You have to open up a case and send all these pictures, and they've
Mhm.
started to be more consistent with putting our K-cut boxes into actual packaging rather than just shipping them as is.
Mhm.
So it's improved. We get less messages about it, but every once in a while they send one. So I think that was one of the biggest hurdles we went through, is just having to deal with Amazon and deal with their customer support and figure out, ways around um, shipping through Amazon, which is now why we're opening a Shopify store and we're trying to go a bit more direct to consumer, because we care about our products in a way we can't expect Amazon to, and we want them to get to people like in a beautiful condition.
Oh. I agree with you there. Definitely. Well, I like the pivot that you're making, and you're, like you said, you're kind of just like finding that workaround. So kind of like looking forward at what you want to do, projecting into like the next 3 to 5 years. What do you see your business growing into in the next 3 to 5 years?
Um, in the next 3 to 5 years, that's a good question. I foresee in 3 to 5 years probably exiting the business. I would say in 5 years. My husband would say three. But the whole goal here, especially with Amazon businesses, is really to grow them to a certain point and then to exit them.
Mhm.
Um, and then to buy more businesses, or property or whatever it might be. So I think that ideally we would have grown um, Couples Coffee to over 1 million a year and something that we can make like a multi-million-dollar exit.
Oh, nice. And like, what is your best approach to kind of setting goals for yourself in business? And how many goals do you like to set at once? Some people set one, some people set two or three, or however many. But I'd love to hear kind of your approach to goal setting.
Yeah, so it's funny because just this over the weekend, my husband and I were talking about goals for our multiple Amazon brands and where we see them going. And so we went to the liquor store and we bought various bottles of champagne, ranging from like $20 to $100 to we got these two like incredible like bottles of champagne that come with like these beautiful boxes, and it was a couple $100 per bottle. And so we decided that we would write goals on them for the businesses, various goals from these small, really obtainable goals, medium goals, and then those two, really expensive bottles of champagne, we're going to write like those top of the line goals, like exiting the business for, X amount of dollars and however many years. And then we're going to pop the bottles when we meet those goals.
Mhm.
So you caught me in a time where I know I'm going to be setting goals for them, but we haven't like sat down with these bottles of champagne and written the goals on them. But that is like, we saw it. I can't remember. I think we saw it on like Instagram or something. We're like, that's actually such a good idea. And we're able to, kind of display those bottles of champagne, and keep those goals top of mind, and then have something that you can like, it's tangible. You can celebrate and pop it um, when you meet that goal. So yeah, that's kind of the new thing that we're doing.
Oh, that's so fun. I love that. That's a great incentive too,
Yeah.
for
Oh yeah.
sure. Oh, fun. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this conversation. It's been so fun to learn about your brand, what you're building with your husband. And I'd love to kind of go into a section that's our rapid fire questions. So it's 4 questions and you answer top of mind, first thing that comes to mind. So
Okay.
Are you ready for some rapid fire?
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome. First question is, what is the key to success for you?
The key to success is being able to quit my day job.
Love that. What is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Well, for business owners who are in a relationship or marriage with the person they own the business with, my advice is to set aside specific times where you are business partners and where you are romantic partners. It's a lesson my husband and I have learned the hard way. We've set aside sacred spaces in our home and then sacred times such as date nights and things like that, because it got to the point where everything felt like a business meeting. And then that just really burnt us both out. So as a business owner, you can kind of take that advice and apply it even if you're not in a relationship with your, co-owner, but just setting aside time for yourself and for your personal life. You can't be a business owner 24 hours of the day. Like at some point, you just have to be a person.
That is beautiful advice. I love that. What is one book or any piece of content, could be a podcast, anything that you've taken in most recently?
Um, The Alter Ego Effect is a book that I'm currently reading. Yeah, it's just kind of it talks about, like, for example, Beyonce's alter ego, the Sasha
Dr.
Fierce. So
Fierce.
yeah, creating your alter ego for different situations where you're nervous, and you feel like kind of that imposter syndrome of like, I can't do this, I'm not good enough. So create somebody in your mind who can do it, who is good enough, and then kind of have that alter ego come out in those moments where they need to.
Oh, I dig that so much. I gotta check out that book for sure. And our last question is, if you had to choose only one area of your business you could rapidly improve tomorrow, what would it be?
Sales. I mean, yeah, I guess just more people unsubscribe and save for our coffee.
Yes. And the final question for the day, before we get to it though, I want to get people plugged in with your brand. How can people find you online?
Yeah, so if you just go to Instagram, you can find us on there at Couples Coffee Co. You can also find my other brands on there, such as Fantaswick. It's just at Fantaswick or at Faithwick. And then we're also, all of those brands are on Amazon. So you just type those into your search bar. Don't click on the sponsored ones because that charges us. But just kidding, you can click on what you want to. But yeah, we're on Amazon and then all over social media. I'm on LinkedIn as well. If anyone ever wants to connect with me and see what I'm doing, I like to post business updates and kind of just advice for other Amazon sellers on my LinkedIn. So that's a good place to find me.
Awesome. I love that. And for our final question today, Eva, what is most inspiring to you today?
The most inspiring. I know this is rapid fire, but I feel like I have to think about that.
Oh, this one, take your time on. This is our final question for today.
Okay.
So you can make it your own.
Yeah. I think I'm just, I guess I'm inspired by other female business owners. An example is Jessica Nixon. I don't know if you know who that is, but she was on a reality show, but she's also a business owner and a mom of 5 girls and, a really incredible like wife. And so she has all of these parts of herself that like I really admire and aspire to be. So it's just kind of like this proof that you can have all of that. Like as a female, you're sometimes told you have to choose one or the other. And I've seen women in that position to have, feel like they have to choose career or kids. And so I really admire people who show you that you can have both.
Oh, I absolutely love that. Well, Eva, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so, so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, of course. It was great. Thanks for having me.